Have you ever felt a chill crawl up your spine? A sudden, inexplicable sense of dread that tells you you're not alone, even when you are. Imagine that feeling amplified 1,000 times in the dead of a Siberian winter, miles from civilization, where the only sound is the howling wind, and the only company is the gnawing fear of the unknown. This is not just a story. It's a descent into one of history's most terrifying and unsolved mysteries. In the winter of 1959, in the heart of the Ural Mountains, a group of 9 experienced Soviet hikers embarked on an expedition that should have been a testament to their skill and endurance. Led by Dyatlov, they were young, adventurous, and full of life, setting out to conquer the formidable Ural Mountain. They were unaware that their journey would lead them not to a triumphant summit, but to an icy grave on a desolate pass that would forever bear their leader's name. The initial leg of their journey was filled with the camaraderie and high spirits of any adventure. Their diaries and photographs, later recovered from the eerie scene, paint a picture of smiling faces against a backdrop of pristine, white wilderness. They were skilled, prepared, and confident, but the mountain they were approaching, Dyatlov, held a dark name in the local Mansi folklore: Mountain of the Dead. A name they would soon learn was tragically earned. On February 1st, the group established their camp on the slopes of Dyatlov. A storm was brewing, forcing them to deviate from their planned route. This decision, seemingly minor at the time, would prove to be their first step into an unfolding nightmare as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, skeletal shadows across the snow. The 9 hikers settled in for what would be their final night on Earth. Weeks passed with no word from the Dyatlov group. A search party was dispatched on February 20th. After families grew frantic, what they discovered on February 26th was not a camp of weary but triumphant adventurers, but a scene of chilling abandonment. The tent, their only shelter against the brutal degrees C temperatures, was ripped and slashed open from the inside. It was a silent, frantic testament to an unspeakable terror. All the group's belongings, warm clothing, boots, supplies, and equipment were left behind, neatly arranged as if awaiting their owner's return. But the owners were gone. Footprints in the snow told a perplexing story. 8 or 9 sets of tracks, some made by bare feet, others by socks or a single shoe, led away from the safety of the tent and down the slope towards a dense forest nearly a mile away. The first 2 bodies were found at the edge of the forest, under a large, ancient pine tree. Yuri Krivonishenko and Yuri Dorshenko were discovered lying side by side, dressed only in their underwear. The remains of a small fire lay nearby, and the branches of the pine tree were broken up to a height of 5 meters, suggesting a desperate attempt to see something. Perhaps the camp they had fled. 3 more bodies, including that of group leader Igor Dyatlov, were found between the pine tree and the abandoned tent. Their positions suggested they had been trying to return to the shelter. They had so desperately fled. Dyatlov lay on his back, one hand gripping a small birch branch, his eyes wide and fixed on the sky. A frozen mask of silent horror etched onto his face. They had all succumbed to hypothermia. The remaining 4 hikers were not discovered until 2 months later, in May, after the thick winter snow had begun to melt. They were found buried in a ravine, deeper in the woods. These final victims presented the most gruesome and inexplicable part of the puzzle. Unlike the first 5, their deaths were not caused by the cold alone. Something far more violent had claimed them in the dark. Nikolai Thiboksbrignoles had suffered a severe skull fracture. Alexander Zolotaryov and Lyudmila Dubinina had sustained catastrophic chest injuries with multiple fractured ribs. A doctor who examined them stated that the force required to cause such damage was immense, comparable to the impact of a high-speed car crash. Yet, perplexingly, there were no external signs of trauma, no bruising or soft tissue damage. The most grotesque discovery was the state of Lyudmila Dubinina's body. She was missing her tongue, her eyes, and part of her lips. The official investigation was baffled. What could inflict such horrific internal injuries without leaving a mark on the skin? What could account for the missing soft tissues? The wilderness holds many predators, but none that would inflict such specific, brutal trauma. The mystery deepened as the investigation continued. Some of the victims' clothing was found to contain significant levels of radiation. Where did this radiation come from in the middle of the Ural Mountains? Theories began to swirl, ranging from secret military weapons testing to a paranormal encounter. The official conclusion was maddeningly vague, stating the hikers died from a compelling natural force. Let us step back into that final, horrifying night. The 9 hikers are huddled in their tent. The wind howls outside, a relentless, mournful cry. They've just finished their meager dinner. Perhaps they are sharing stories, their laughter a small pocket of warmth against the immense, crushing cold. The air is thick with the scent of pine and shared breath. A sense of peace settles over them. Then something changes. A low hum begins to permeate the air, a vibration felt deep in their bones, rather than heard with their ears. It's a sound that doesn't belong in the natural world. The laughter dies in their throats. They exchange nervous glances, their eyes wide in the flickering candlelight. The fabric of the tent seems to thrum with this unseen energy. Fear, cold and sharp, begins to prickle their skin. Suddenly, an otherworldly light floods the mountainside, bathing the snow in an eerie, pulsating orange glow. It's not the moon, not the stars. It's something else, something alien and terrifying. The light seeps through the canvas of the tent, casting monstrous, dancing shadows within. Panic ignites, a wildfire of pure, primal terror. The humming intensifies, becoming a deafening roar that seems to tear at the very fabric of their sanity. Something is outside. It's not an animal. It's not human. It is a presence, an immense and malevolent force pressing in on them. They can feel its weight, its crushing power. There's no time to untie the tent flaps. There is only the desperate, animalistic need to escape. Knives flash in the dim light, slashing through the canvas, creating a frantic exit into the frozen hell outside. They spill out into the blinding, unnatural light and the biting wind, dressed in whatever they were sleeping in. They don't grab their coats, their boots. There is no thought, only instinct. Run. They scramble down the slope, barefoot and terrified. The snow burning their skin like acid. The deafening sound and the oppressive light are behind them, chasing them, hunting them. The group fractures in the chaos. Two of them, Krivonishenko and Doroshenko, reach the relative safety of the tree line first. They are desperate for warmth, for a way to fight the encroaching hypothermia. They build a small fire. Its feeble flames a stark contrast to the terrifying lights they witnessed. One of them climbs the tall pine, desperate to catch a glimpse of what is happening back at the camp. But the cold is a relentless enemy. Their bodies, deprived of proper clothing, begin to shut down. The fire dies, and with it, their last hope. They huddle together for warmth. But it is a losing battle. The darkness of the forest and the freezing temperature finally claim them. Their bodies found weeks later, almost naked in the snow. Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin try to make a desperate return to the tent. Perhaps the terrifying presence has gone. Perhaps they believe they can retrieve their gear and survive. They fight their way back up the slope, battling the wind and the deepening snow drifts. But their strength fails them. One by one, they collapse, the warmth of life seeping out of them into the frozen ground. The final four, including Zolotaryov and Dubinina, stumble deeper into the woods, seeking refuge in a snow-covered ravine. They are better dressed than the others, having scavenged clothing from their fallen comrades in a desperate attempt to survive. But the entity, the force that drove them from their tent, is not finished with them. It finds them in their hiding place. What happens next in that ravine is the heart of the horror. It is not a fight for survival against the elements, but a confrontation with the unimaginable. The force descends upon them, a silent, crushing pressure. Bones snap like twigs under an immense, invisible weight. It is a brutal, methodical assault that leaves no outward mark, but shatters them from within. The screams are swallowed by the vast, indifferent wilderness. In the midst of this agony, Lyudmila Dubinina falls, her face landing in the snow-fed stream at the bottom of the ravine. The creature or force, whatever it is not content with just breaking her. In a final, grotesque act of violation, it removes her tongue and eyes, a horrifying trophy taken by an unknown predator. The scene of the discovery, weeks later, is a tableau of frozen terror. The first 5 bodies, a testament to the unforgiving power of nature. The last 4, a testament to a violence that defies explanation. The investigators are left with a series of questions that have no answers. What was the source of the radiation? What were the strange orange spheres reported by other locals in the sky that night? The official investigation is hastily closed. The files are classified. The area is sealed off for 3 years. The official explanation of a compelling natural force is a hollow, meaningless phrase that only serves to deepen the mystery. It is a clear message. Some things are not meant to be understood. Some secrets are best left buried in the snow. Theories have persisted for over 6 decades. Was it a secret Soviet weapons test gone horribly wrong? The hikers, unwitting victims of a military experiment. This could explain the radiation and the violent, concussive injuries. The government's secrecy and quick cover-up lend credence to this theory. Were they silenced to protect a state secret? Or was it something more ancient, something tied to the land itself? The native Mansi people spoke of spirits that guard the mountains. They warned outsiders not to venture into these sacred lands. Kalet-Siakl, the Mountain of the Dead, was named long before the 9 hikers met their end. Did they disturb something? An ancient guardian that protects its domain with lethal force? Could the explanation be even more outlandish? Some point to UFOs and extraterrestrial involvement, citing the reports of strange lights in the sky. Could the hikers have stumbled upon something not of this world and been eliminated as a result? The bizarre injuries and the lack of a clear explanation leave the door open to even the most incredible possibilities. Perhaps the most disturbing theory is that the enemy was not external, but internal. Infrasound, low-frequency sound waves that can be generated by certain wind patterns can induce feelings of intense panic, dread, and even physical discomfort in humans. Could a freak weather event have created an infrasound vortex that drove the hikers mad with irrational fear, causing them to flee their tent and succumb to the elements? We are left with the chilling final photograph taken from one of the hikers' cameras. It is a blurry, chaotic image, seemingly taken in haste. It shows a dark, indistinct shape against a bright, glaring background. What is this shape? Is it one of the hikers, or is it something else? Is it a glimpse of the very thing that caused them to flee in terror? The image offers no answers, only more haunting questions. The Dyatlov Pass incident is more than just an unsolved mystery. It is a story that taps into our deepest fears. The fear of the unknown, the fear of being helpless against forces beyond our comprehension, and the fear of the dark and the cold. It reminds us that there are still corners of this world that are wild, untamed, and hold secrets that we may never unravel. The spirits of the 9 hikers remain on that lonely mountain pass, Their story, a chilling campfire tale told to scare and to mystify. But for them, it was no story. It was a terrifying reality. They faced an unknown horror in the Siberian wilderness, and their silent screams are still carried on the wind that whips across the mountain of the dead. To this day, hikers and investigators who visit the pass report a palpable sense of unease, a feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. Strange lights are still occasionally reported in the night sky over Khalat Siakal. The mountain holds its secrets close, its silence a grim monument to the 9 souls it claimed. So the next time you feel that unexplained chill, that sense of a presence in an empty room, remember the Dyatlov hikers. Remember their flight into the frozen darkness, and ask yourself, what was it that they saw? What was the compelling natural force that ripped their lives away? The truth is still out there, buried under decades of snow and secrecy, waiting on the slopes of the mountain of the dead.